Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from in the world. By the way, I got that from Emma. Welcome to another Operation Separation. I'm your host, Shel Shapiro. With me today is Emma Barrera, the face, the glam, the CEO behind Right Hand Glam. Emma, I am so excited to dive into branding your glow up with you today. Welcome to Operation Separation.
I'm so excited. Honestly, I've been waiting for this moment for a very long time. I was like, when is my invite going to come? And I'm so glad that it finally did. And I'm so excited to chat with you today.
First off, we're going to rewind for just a second because, oh my God, when you told me you were waiting for this invite, I was like, why didn't she just reach out? Why didn't she just reach out?
I didn't want to ask. I didn't know if I totally fit the ideal client profile here. I was like, I think I probably do, but
you absolutely do.
Yes. Everybody in their own time, so.
Yeah. So Emma and I have never met in person. That is yet to come. And we will do amazing things once we get together in person. I am sure of it. But if you don't know about Emma, I'm excited for you to meet her today and learn more about her. One of the things that I really love about you, Emma, is that you are unapologetically you.
You to live, baby.
You have this amazing brand voice where you one, don't take shit from anyone. Two, you give yourself permission to be vulnerable when you're dealing with stuff and you don't hide it. Sure, we might not see all the things all the time, but you show enough of it to let people know that you're a real human being who has transformed your life several times over. So I am really I couldn't be prouder of you.
You are so sweet.
Yeah. So Right Hand Glam.
Right Hand Glam.
You have another episode out on your podcast about the origin story of Right Hand Glam, but so many people don't know that. Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how this came to be?
It was a total accident. None of this was planned. I wasn't I'm going to go try this thing. Originally, Right Hand Glam was started to just kind of make ends meet with rent during the pandemic. Start of the pandemic, as many people started their businesses around that time. I was working as a spin instructor. I was working the front desk at the gym where I taught. And I was also working in a restaurant. So when everything shut down, all of my sources of income were completely gone. And I had actually quit my job in January of 2020. I was in a very toxic job. I was crying every single day. I was working from 6 a.m. to midnight some days. It just was not a sustainable lifestyle. And I told them that I was going to quit to go start this business to support actually women influencers. That was originally the plan. Yeah. And the business structure looked very different than what it does now. There really was no structure. I was kind of just doing whatever I knew that I was good at. I was severely undercharging. But quickly it added up. And then all of a sudden it was, 3K months, 4K months, 5K months, 6K months. But the first time I ever did engagement was actually for a tanning salon. I knew the owner and she was like, hey, can you do this thing where you just go in and you talk to people and you help me get more followers? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I can do that. And I got really good at it. And that was really what Right Hand Glam was at the beginning. People would hire us for a week or two to get a bunch of new followers. And that was that. It was not the database approach we focus on now. It was not sales at all. It was literally just followers. And then in December of that year, all of a sudden I had 2 team members and was bringing in probably $6,000 a month. And then I joined a program that one of my clients was launching that basically focused on the foundations of building an online service provider business. And that was just kind of like a step that I had missed. We grew so fast because there weren't a lot of people doing what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so we became the go-to people for it. And I built up my business even more. And by the end of that 3-month program, I was making 10K months and I had a team of like 4. And then from there, it just kept like multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. So right now we have a team of 6, myself, 1 full-time employee, and then 4 contractors, which is insane. Like I know I'm employee. What? I am 24 years old and I am in charge of a full-time employee. Hello. What is life? All trying to make ends meet with rent.
Yeah. I think it's remarkable that, and not that age matters, but like at such a young age, you've figured out so much for yourself. And that's not to say that you haven't gone through a lot of shit
So much
in order to figure that stuff out. And I do know you're like the queen of Instagram. So sorry, LinkedIn, because that's my primary
Listen,
platform.
LinkedIn people, y'all do you. Y'all do you. My boyfriend works in corporate finance. I don't understand what he does. And I get LinkedIn requests literally every day. LinkedIn scares me. LinkedIn, I am terrified of it. I'm sure if I sat down, we could maybe be friends. But I'm telling you, if after this, if you like try to connect with me on LinkedIn, you're just like not going to hear from me. And my LinkedIn is like so outdated. It still says I work at Soul Cycle. I have not worked there in a long time. 4 years, 3, 4, a long time. Just a long time period. So yeah, no, don't connect with me on LinkedIn. That's what I will tell you.
Yeah, we're trying new things today as well. Before we even came on here, we tried to connect on Instagram as well, just so that we could be native on your platform. The tech didn't work out, but I'm not mad at it, because look, the only way to grow is to try new things and to figure it out for yourself, which is another way that, like, I see you, girl. I see you doing your thing and finding out the way that works for you.
Yes.
And cheerleading for everyone that's doing it for themselves too. You've talked a lot about this in the last few weeks, especially, is like finding a schedule that works for you and like not following everybody else and doing what people tell you worked for them.
Yeah.
And that's so important. So when it comes to branding your glow up, let's dive in on this a little bit more. We've heard how Right Hand Glam got its start. I know you excelled at the foundations, and it's a great program to go through.
Highly recommend.
Like I could talk all day about those ladies doing their thing. But this is about you and your transformation.
Yeah.
And I mentioned in the posts earlier that you went from low to glow, like, and that you help other people to do the same. So you mentioned a few minutes ago that before you quit your job, you were crying every day. You were working like endless hours just to pay rent. What were you feeling like in these moments? What was that low moment for you?
So I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder my freshman year of college. And that just kind of like rocked my whole world. I was at the number 7 international affairs program in the country. I had this like big plan that I was going to take DC by storm. I was in the middle of an internship on the Hill. I was doing, all of the things that I had always dreamed about doing that I thought were going to come to fruition. And, I didn't care if I was going to be making pennies. I was going to be doing what I loved. And my life spiraled out of control. And then the only focus became surviving. And so I was at the George Washington University for 3 semesters. And then I transferred to Temple University back home here in Philly. And the only goal was to get better. And so I would commute to class, and I would basically just like go to class and go to work. I was pretty much working 40 hours a week in college at SoulCycle. And I loved it. SoulCycle was like my whole life. That happens to a lot of people because, you know, if you work there, we always used to say that like, it's the line from The Devil Wears Prada. It's the job that a million girls want. And like, it becomes your whole personality. Like if I was not working, I was there taking class. And so I was either at SoulCycle or at school. And I thought I was going to be in college forever. I thought I was just like never going to make it through, which for me was really hard because I was a straight A perfectionist who like cried when she got waitlisted at Georgetown. And I will never be over it. But I didn't have any plan, right? I didn't have the chance to do any internships. I worked. Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. And I thought I was going to move up at SoulCycle, and I thought that was going to be my career at that point. Obviously, that is not where we ended up, because that ended up being another toxic environment, which I'm sure if you know anything about SoulCycle, that is not surprising whatsoever. And so I just needed a job. Like I really learned that there is a huge difference between a job and a career. And that's such a big conversation right now, particularly for millennials and even Gen Z is having that conversation. So I just needed a job. So I texted my mentor at the time and was like, your girl needs a job. Is anybody hiring? And he's like, well, I'm working at the startup. Like, you want a job? And I was like, yes, great. Give me the job. And it was like $40,000, which to me was a shit ton of money. And to some people, it is a shit ton of money. Like girls got to eat, whatever you making. And I am just someone who does everything 110%. And quiet quitting was like not a thing yet. Working your wage or acting your wage was not a thing yet.
Yeah.
And so I was essentially managing my team, but not getting the pay for it. I was getting the credit for it, but I was not getting the pay for it. And I was going above and beyond every single day. And one day I walked out of the building and I was like, if I stay here, I am going to be back where I was when I was in college. And I can't have that for myself. So that was on a Friday and I quit on Sunday. I gave them a week's notice. They were not happy. And I heard
not about them. It's not about them.
It's not about them. I heard for months after that they were shit talking me in meetings, and I was still friends with all the girls that I had worked with. So they were telling me, and it was actually only this year in June that I finally got an apology from my boss, who was like, I broke you. And I was like, yeah, you did. And he's like, but you're also doing really cool shit right now. And I said, yeah, I am. So he actually told an entire room full of high schoolers. He was like, when Emma, we were both speaking at the same conference, and he was like, when Emma comes up here later, she's going to tell you that corporate ruined her life. And I'm the one that did that. And I was like, that's pretty big. That's pretty big. And so I showed up late and I was like, hey, I heard you finally admitted to ruining my life. And he was like, yeah, I did. So, you know, if you're ever, I don't think that's the norm. And I know so many people are in a toxic workspace, but know that there might be hope on the horizon that you will one day get your apology. It took years, but I got it.
Yeah.
And to get it at such a high point where like I could walk in knowing that I was hot shit and like knowing that this company is doing incredible things was so good. So good.
And as a perfectionist and as somebody that like goes that extra mile and does 110% of everything, probably like showing up late was like, hey, like a fuck you to like anybody who would challenge you otherwise. Right. So that is a huge moment. Although for a lot of people, that apology never comes. And so I want everybody to just be mindful that like you can make that change and remove yourself from a toxic situation and change your life, change your circumstances, do better, get better for yourself.
Absolutely.
Regardless of anybody else trying to tear you down.
I don't know anyone's shit. That's what I've fully realized. And as more of this conversation evolves around the corporate space of quiet quitting, acting your wage, things being jobs and not careers. Like, you really need to be mindful first and foremost of how your environment is making you feel. And that's why I'm such an advocate in our space on social media for doing what lights you up and doing what feels aligned, because I did not get into this business to feel like shit all the time. I left that behind.
Amen.
And so I am not going to work hours that someone says I should, or talk a certain way that someone says I should, because I did this for me. I did this so I would feel good. And I am not going to create a schedule, take on clients, create offers that do not stay aligned with that goal of feeling good. Because I never want to go back to how I felt before.
So it's night and day, right? The feelings that you were having before and the way that you feel now. We talked briefly about finding a schedule that works for you. What are some of the ways that you maintain this for yourself? The structure, the happiness, the getting to do what you want.
So it's no secret now, more and more research is coming out about it, that the 9-to-5 workday was built for men. Because men were the first people that were going to 9-to-5 jobs. Women were not doing that. And so, like, my boyfriend all the time is like, well, why don't you get up at 6 a.m. and work out and then, like, go to work? I'm like, because that doesn't work for me. And, you know, like, a lot of people will poke fun still. Be like, oh, you don't work. And it's like, no, I know what my brain and my body can handle. And as someone with mental health issues, I need to make sure that my schedule is always being mindful of that and taking care of that. So the first thing for me is recognizing that I'm a night owl. I am not a morning person. I will never be part of the 5 a.m. club. I never got the invite. It was returned to sender. So I, a lot of the time, just let myself sleep till whatever time I wake up. And if I do set an alarm, usually I'm laying in bed for a significant amount of time after that, because I like to ease into my day. I also really like to have an end goal time, at least, for my day to wrap up. So I really try to plan things out and spread things out. I'm a really big advocate of only putting on your to-do list what absolutely needs to get done, because then everything else that you get done outside of that is like a gold star or a bonus, or like a something to celebrate. So like, there are things today that are not on my to-do list, but I would like to get done when I leave the office and go home. So I can like get cozy and work on it and watch Dairy Girls while I work. So the things that I have to get done are going to get done in this space. The things that I don't have to get done, I can take home with me, and there's lower stakes. You know, my outside of work, I am involved with theater very heavily. I'm on the board of a local theater. I'm the social media manager, and I am working on a show right now, and I'm auditioning for a show tomorrow. And that's a really important part of my life. And knowing that I have to get done work like by 5:30, so I have time to go home and eat, review my lines, and go to rehearsal.
Yeah.
That's something that's really important to me too. I also found in the summer, I was really anxious around like 2:30 every day. So I would work from the pool in my apartment building, and our building manager would always make fun of me, and she'd be like, oh, we get to work by the pool today. And I was like, fuck yeah, I get to work by the pool today. And like around 2:30, 3:00, I would find myself getting really anxious. And so I would shut everything down and I would go get in the pool for half an hour and read. It's really just finding things throughout your day. I've heard from a lot of people that they love midday showers or midday baths just for like a nice reset. I've tried that out myself and it feels really good. It's just allowing yourself to be. You know, people make fun of me all the time. They're like, you're 24 and you have a full-time job and you sleep till 10. Yes. Yes, in fact, I do. Because that's when my body wakes up. And if I'm sleeping till 10, obviously that's what my body needs. I would really say that like sleep is one of the biggest things, especially as women. Like we're not programmed for the 9 to 5. So if I get up at 10 and I start work at noon, That's what happens.
And you're done by 3.
And I'm done by 3. And there are some days too where like literally, and people are probably gonna be like, what the fuck? I literally some days only have an hour and a half of work. And that's it. Some days I have a full 8-hour work day. But there's a balance there. And that's how I spread things out. And I've also gotten a lot better about saying no. My scheduling link, you only get I only have spots for 2 meetings a day, 3 days a week. I also only work Monday through Thursday. Originally, we were only going to do it for the summer. And then my entire team was like, we really like this schedule. And so I just kept sending out contracts that said Monday to Thursday, and nobody questioned anything. Everyone was cool with it. Nobody has ever said anything about it. We just say we work Monday to Thursday, and people are really excited about it. Our team is really excited about it. It serves them well. I mean, like 3-day weekend every week. Hello. And everyone only had to work, literally an extra 7.5 minutes per client a day to have Fridays off. Everyone was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, little things like that. Or like we were supposed to schedule a podcast recording for this week. And I was like, guys, I have auditions Tuesday. My calendar is packed every day except Tuesday. Can we push this back a week? And they were like, yeah. It's all about communication, communicating with your clients, communicating with your team. It's amazing to me when I think about things I've done in the past, jobs I've had in the past, and how shitty people are at communicating. And then you come into this online space and people are actually so good at communicating, because at the core of it, most people know that we are all doing this to feel good and to experience some kind of freedom. Maybe that freedom is the freedom to be home with your kids. Maybe that freedom is to make your own hours. Maybe that freedom is to be able to say, this is how much work I want to take on, and that's on that. And so a lot of people are super receptive. Like if my team is like, we need a mental health day. Cool. Go take care of yourself. Have fun. I was originally not going to take time off a specific week. And then I got COVID and I worked through that. And I was like, hey, do y'all mind if I take off the week that I said I wasn't going to take off because COVID did a number on me? And they were like, please go take off. Please go take time for yourself. It is amazing to me how much people in this online space are more in tune with their needs and more willing to communicate their needs because there's no fear.
Yeah. And it's so much about not just listening to others, but listening to yourself and what you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You need to wake up at 10 a.m. and allow yourself to do that. Cool. You get tired or antsy or like feel like you lose focus by a certain time of the day in the afternoon. Cool. Go do something else. You said that a lot of people have mentioned like baths or showers like midday. I've never tried that. What works from time? I used to be like if I get tired, because I do know I get like a mid-afternoon, like 2:30, 3 o'clock slump. Used to take a nap. But then once I nap, if I nap for too long, then I'm done for the day. And I'm like, walks really work for me right now. Nature, getting outside, that fresh air.
Everyone has their thing that works for them.
And I'm a napper. I will never turn down a nap.
But it's women that are saying that time. It's that same time every day. And it's super interesting too, when we think about the 9-to-5 workday, there's actually studies that are coming out that are saying really, when you think about it, the amount of work people actually do in a 9-to-5 workday is about 4 hours. 4 hours. You're there for 8 and it's about 4.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the attention span to handle that amount of time. How often are you, for those of you who do work in corporate, how often are you taking a trip to the water cooler, taking a trip to the bathroom, taking a trip to the coffee machine, just fucking around, sitting on your phone on TikTok? You might not want your boss to know that, but I bet you your boss is also in their office doing that too. People have said that the prime workday would actually be to split the 9-to-5 workday into 2 shifts, like a 9 to 1 and then like a 1 to 6. And it would actually increase productivity. And that's why, when I say most of the time at max, my workday is 5 hours, that is actually the best thing we can do for ourselves as humans. Now, do I see corporate America moving to a split 9 to 5? No, I don't. But it literally has been proven to be more effective.
And if anyone's going to tell you that, it's going to be Emma, because
I do it every day. I literally do it every day.
She literally does it for a living.
5 hours.
And how often do we hear you talk about tracking your metrics? Like that's not a thing that I do.
Listen,
but for anyone that doesn't know,
time yourself.
I have hired Emma to help me with my engagement on Instagram, and she has an amazing team. And yes, they track my metrics because I can't do it.
You can't. And that's the beauty of what we do. People always say, like, you know, like, I'm not a Band-Aid. I always say that we're Neosporin, right? Like, you do part of it. You can put the Band-Aid on yourself. I know you can. But I'm going to put the Neosporin on. I'm going to be mom, and I'm going to take care of you, and we're going to clean it up. We're going to put that peroxide on it. We're going to put that Neosporin on it, and then you can put your Band-Aid on it. You can put your Band-Aid on it. That's how we work together. That's how shit gets done. Yeah. But, like, you know, in your life, track the metrics of your life too. I saw one of my absolute favorite blogger is The Bird's Papaya, Sarah Nicole Landry. And she talks a lot about, like, the tasks that we hate doing. And she started timing them. So things like laundry, things like emptying the dishwasher. And those are things that feel so daunting that we don't feel like doing. And she timed it. And she was like, it took me 2.5 minutes to empty the dishwasher. With what we do, we work for clients 37.5 minutes a day. And we click a timer. And when that timer goes off, we're done.
Yep.
That's it. And I had new team members who came from toxic work environments, and they were like, oh, I didn't get everything done in the 37.5 minutes. Like,
tomorrow's another day.
I said, tomorrow's a new day. It's fine. You still got work done. It's 37.5 minutes. That is what is in the contract. That's what people signed for. You are not expected. Frankly, I will be mad at you if you work more than that, because that's what people are paying for. That's what I'm paying you for. And there's a reason that it's that amount of time.
Yeah. And it's a formula that you've figured out over a period of time. That
2.5 years. If it didn't work, I would have changed it.
Yeah. Now, I'm not suggesting that this works across all platforms, because everything is different and everybody is different, but it works for Right Hand Glam, and it works really well with all of your clients, myself included. And I've kind of been testing the waters on that, like doing it that way for my LinkedIn engagement. Like, I don't set a timer. Maybe I should, but like, I try to keep it under an hour, and I'm like, okay, I feel good about this. So there's something to it. There's something to, like, giving it your all for that little chunk of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Baby steps. And, like, you had said a while back, and you say this often, but, like, one time in particular, you were saying that it takes time to, like, plant the seeds and for them to grow. That somebody's not going to just, like, see you once and want to work with you.
No.
How long does it take to, like, plant these seeds? Okay, a few minutes every single day, or a few minutes, a few days a week, like, for months.
Yeah. So I say this to people all the time. They're like, well, how long does it take to get a conversion? And I always say, and usually it's over voice messages and Instagram, I always say, listen, this is going to sound like a crock of shit, but it's different for every single person, because it depends on your data. If you come to me and you have a hot email list, you already have leads, you've done workshops, and you've sold passive income products, and you're like, here's all these names, I can make shit happen a lot faster for you. But if you're someone who's like, you know, my audience isn't my ideal client, or I'm shifting my services, or, you know, I'm not really active on my email list, then we have to do some more things from the ground up. We've had clients who in their first month of working with us have booked $20,000 worth of projects. I have run $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 launches. I've also seen it take 8 to 12 months actually for things to convert. I worked with a client for a year, and there were people that we talked to month one that I had the data. I saved this data for a year. And there were people that we had talked to month one who, with one message in month 12, converted on the spot. And like we had been talking to them, you know, it wasn't like we talked to them in January and this was December and I sent one message and they converted. We had talked back and forth, but some of them, like, you know, it had been several months.
Yeah.
And I was kind of just like, hey, last time we talked, you were working on XYZ. How's that going? Boom. They were like, oh my God, it's a hot mess. I need you right now. Whoa. So, you know, there are things that convert faster. But the thing that you have to remember is when you hire an engagement strategist, we are inside your account every day to engage with people and nurture them so they get to know you, so they become comfortable with you. I can't promise you that Susie Q is going to be ready to swipe her credit card in 2 weeks. I can't promise you that she's going to be ready to swipe her credit card in 2 months. What I can promise you is that I will be up Susie Q's ass, checking in on her, talking to her, getting to know her. That is my job. It frustrates me to no end when people come to us or they leave us and they're like, well, I'm leaving because I didn't make any money. We worked with a client for 3 months who every day we were talking to her ideal client. She had approved this long list of leads. Everyone we were talking to was on point. On point. And she said that, but they weren't converting. And she was like, you guys are doing your job. It's just not working. They're just not biting. And so when people can acknowledge that, great. You want to go? We're going to still be friends. Amazing. But when you come at me and you're like, well, it didn't work, but I still did my job. It's not my fault that they didn't swipe a credit card. So it really just depends. Also, you know, time of year is another thing. I had a client back in April launch a program that was fairly high ticket, and she had a goal of getting in 10 people. Yeah. And I was like, babe, it's tax season. Halfway through the launch, she was like, why is nobody buying? I said, it's tax season. She went, shit, I didn't think about that. And so we converted 3 people, and then we sold people on her other offers. It ended up being the same amount of money as the launch would have been had we sold all 10 spots. So I think a lot of what we do as well is thinking outside of the box and remembering that there are other ways to make that income. Like I was, you know, running numbers for next month already. I know it's only October 10th, but like I'm always
got to plan ahead.
Always. And I was running numbers for next month and I was like, all right, this is going to go down, this is going to go down, this is going to go down. But we are launching other things that are going to make, it's going to make that go up again. So, you know, it's all about thinking in innovative ways about how you're going to sell other things. You know, you can't always just be selling one thing. I mean, that's worked for us for a really long time. We have one friggin' offer, but you know, we do all of these little pop-up things and those sell really well. And I'm able to create opportunities for my team. I'm able to get more cash in my pocket. And, you know, sometimes you can launch things, you know, just because you want certain things. You know, I was very open about this. I wanted this freaking luxury handbag and I was going to London and I was like, all right, how can I make $3,000 really quick to cover the price of the handbag? And I launched an offer, sold it out, handbag was paid for. Yeah. So if you want things, which it's not bad to want things, you can get innovative and you can think of, one of the things I've been preaching a lot lately is thinking about your offer and the sexiest parts of it and what would get people really excited and seeing if you can offer part of that offer at a specific rate. And I've done that like 3 or 4 times now and we've sold it out every time.
Yeah. And the amazing thing is like when you take part of your original thought, you're part of your original offer that you have in your head. I know that I'm like this and I Chloe knows that I'm like this as well. We overgive. Like we promise a certain thing and then we over deliver. Like we give more than what we say. So like pulling back the reins even before you've put it out there, it keeps you in check too. Yeah. It helps you clarify that boundary of like, no, I'm not going to give all of my secret sauce away. I'm going to only give this. And then if you still give a little bit more, then like, at least you didn't promise the moon.
Right. I'm a huge advocate of sticking to the contract. What is in the contract is what you get. Now, I also under promise and over deliver always. Like, I will tell people that their delivery date will be XYZ and they'll get it, a week before that. But I am also a huge advocate for this is what you paid for, so this is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And that's how people need to protect their peace, because way too often people are like, oh, well, I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do that as well. Okay, charge for that. It's your time. That's your brain power.
Yeah. And if you feel like you need to like constantly be adding all of those extras in just to convert somebody, then like they're probably not valuing you.
No.
So people will pay for the things that are of value.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right Hand Glam has made huge leaps and bounds, like in business, in social media, on Instagram, converting conversations to cash. And you've helped your clients and yourself do it in a way that, especially for all the clients out there that are introverts, all the people out there that don't like or feel like sleazy or spammy, like messaging people, you help people do it in a more comfortable way.
Yeah.
In like a less pressure situation. And even though you're showing up regularly talking about like being a mental health advocate and like the things that you're struggling with and all the other challenges that might arise, that is actually not your brand. Those are just conversation pieces to help you put that out there. So when I'm talking about branding your glow up, yes, you can talk about all the things that are holding you down. I talk about burnout all the time, right? I talk about like not feeling like I had a voice, like not being able to speak up. I talk about like abuse and trauma, but that's not my brand. That is one tiny little blip on the radar so that people can know that there's something better, that there's something beyond that. And so your circumstances don't need to be all of you. No. It doesn't need to be what you're remembered for. It just can be this conversation starter that is a gateway.
Yeah.
To all the other amazing things.
And it also builds a lot of trust with your audience. I mean, there are people who have decided to work with me based on my sharing about my mental health because that makes them feel safe. There are people that have decided to work with me because I am open about my political beliefs and my values. And that makes them safe working with me. I think one of the most fulfilling parts about what we do is not just when we make people money. It's when I get a message that says like, I watched what you did. And while you guys were doing your work, I gave it a shot myself and it worked. And I would have never felt empowered to do that had it not been for your support. And those are like the biggest wins for me when I see people, because you said, we do work with a lot of introverts and I'm a very extroverted person. And I think that's one of the appeals of working with us, because a lot of people are like, I don't know how to talk. I don't feel comfortable talking. I don't want it to immediately come across like I'm trying to sell them. And so, with an extrovert in your back pocket, being able to balance you out and get the ball rolling for you, and then open communication. Hey, every once in a while we get this. I got it from a client last week. She was like, hey, too much caps and too much energy that I can't meet where you're at when I jump in. And I said, cool, no problem. We'll reel it in. No big deal at all. Chloe one time was in someone's account and was like, hey, bestie, why, like, what's up? And her client was like, no bestie. And we were like, okay, no big deal at all. It's all about communication, because it needs to feel authentic to you at the end of the day, because we are logging into your account every day, pretending to be you. And so if it doesn't feel aligned for you, all you need to do is tell us, because then we can fix it. If you don't tell us, we can't ever fix it. But if you tell us, we can make it happen.
Yeah. Now, for anyone out there that's wondering, like, how are your clients still showing up in an authentic way if you're in there pretending to be them? I'm still actively in my DMs. Like, I'm still in the comments. Like, just because they are also there helping me doesn't mean that I am not.
Right.
And like, it is still 1000% me.
Yeah.
It is not Emma. Like, the persona of Emma is like put on hold while she's in my DMs.
It really is. And I was talking to my my mini mind that I teach about this, and a lot of them were struggling with quote unquote becoming the client. And we actually did a theater exercise where we did an improv session, and I said, you need to think of engagement as putting on a character. And it just finally clicked for some of them. They were like, wait, I've never thought about it this way. And I was like, you are gone. It is not you. You are stepping into the shoes of this person. And we're only in there for 37.5 minutes a day. So most of the time, we are just getting the ball rolling or keeping it rolling for you to be able to feel comfortable jumping in and doing what you need to do. The biggest issue people have is getting the conversation started and then keeping it going. The in between, you can figure out. You know, like there just obviously always comes to a point in conversation where things reach a lull, or you're like, how do I, what do I do to progress this conversation forward, to open up different channels of communication and, switch the topic? That's what we're there for. But there's still a lot that goes on in between every day when we're not in there.
Yeah. And I think one of like my sticking points sometimes, and like where I pull back in people's DMs, and I've said this to you and Chloe many times, is like, how do I not fuck it up? Like, it's going so well right now. Like, I feel really connected to this person. And I'm like, how do I, like, I don't want to push it too far, because sometimes I'm just like, I just want to give. And I don't mean like give all the secrets. I mean, like, I want to just be there for the person. And like, if I see that they're going through something, I'm like, I just want to keep chatting and let them know that I hear them and see them. And I could just still seriously like sit there in silence and just like see all their messages come in, because I just want to support. Now I also don't want to fuck it up, because this is my livelihood too. So I do need to at some point convert, but like it's still a no pressure situation. The pressure that's there is pressure that I put on myself. It's not coming from anywhere else. And Chloe and Emma like support me to do me while they're in the background checking the metrics and like seeing what's working and what's not. So yeah, I'm living proof that Right Hand Glam works. I do have a branding question.
Oh yeah.
You've rebranded several times in the short time that I've known you, and like I'm saying it's a short time, but it's been like 2 years, 2.5 years, like
long time.
And I did not convert. It took me a year for Emma to convert me, because I was just like, just in awe of the same way that at the beginning.
I didn't even convert her. One day she was like, all right, it's time. And I was like, praise Jesus. I've been waiting for 2 years. Let's go.
Yes. But the same way in the beginning, we chatted about how you didn't want to like invite yourself to be here today. Like you were just waiting for the invite to like fall and come into fruition. And I was just like, I need to work with her. Like, I see all the good things that she's doing, and just like I was waiting for the right time. No, it's never the right time. The right time is now.
It's literally never the right time. Ever. Especially with what we do. People all the time are like, oh, I need to wait till this, or like, okay, well, I'm booked out, so I'm gonna peace out. I'm like, no. Like, if you are launching in 2 months, we needed to start working together a month ago. Yeah. Like, can I still make shit happen in 2 months? Absolutely. But, I need time, and you need time, because this is likely something brand new for you that you've never done before. And so we need to take time to adjust to each other. We need to take time to make sure we're hitting our goals and checking our metrics, and, making sure that we're talking to the right people. It's all so key. There are so many layers to this.
Yeah. So the branding question is, as you've like transitioned and like evolved and changed up the brand style a little bit. Like Right Hand Glam has always been Right Hand Glam, but the style and the evolution has changed a little bit. Remember when your logo was a left hand?
Oh my god. We don't talk about it.
So I'm a lefty. So this works for me. Did you find that when you actually switched it to a right hand that it like just took off more? Like did things even, or like was that not even a
didn't even really notice? Like there were only a few, I mean, like maybe people did, but there were only like a handful of people that came to me and were like, it's a left hand. Also, I didn't know for the longest time that it was a left hand. So our logo used to be RHG and then a hand like holding a magic wand. And it was a left hand, except we're Right Hand Glam. And if people noticed it, they didn't really tell me. What I will say about the Right Hand Glam rebrands is that I run a very lean business and I don't like spending money unless I have to, because I really like money and I like having money. So if I don't have to spend it on the business, I don't spend it. So I DIY'd my first 2 brand looks. And then at the end of last year, I was like, no, we're going to do this right. And we finally got it to where I wanted it to be. And the vibe that matched the voice. The voice never changed throughout it all. The voice was the same. It was the vibe that was not matching the voice. And last year when we put it all in motion, I think it launched in January, it finally all felt aligned and it looked like I wanted it to.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't know what it's going to evolve into until somebody else can bring that to life for you and show you some variations.
And I will say too, little hair toss. I have had people reach out to me and say that they actually share Right Hand Glam as one of the most consistently branded companies that they see. Because I am very meticulous about our colors always being front and center. I don't have like a look, I would say. There are some people that ingeniously brand themselves on Instagram as always wearing the same outfit or the same color scheme. That's just like too much effort for me. Like we're lucky if I put on makeup like today we did because we're doing this. But like that's just too much for me. So I really make sure that like the text on my stories is always our brand colors. The background colors, whenever I reshare something, are always our brand colors. And also like, I feel like I always, just because I'm a very expressive person, like I have very odd facial expressions. And so like when people watch my reels, like they're always like a weird screen grab for the picture. And so I think people like can recognize me.
Yeah.
For my, like, just because I'm so expressive, like you're going to look at a story and be like, oh wait, that's Right Hand Glam. That's Emma. So it's really, it's interesting. And too, like the other day I actually did we did a guest post from someone on our team. And I was like, I wonder if people were like really thrown off by this because it's the Right Hand Glam colors, but it's Whitney who's on our team, not me. And there's a picture of her on it. And I wonder if people were like, wait, hold up. Who is this? What is going on? But I'm very proud of how consistent our brand is. Even our podcast, we did not get professional branding done for the podcast, but it is consistent with the Right Hand Glam branding. Chloe has done an amazing job of making sure that happened and that it happened well. So I'm very proud of our brand presence. And just to drive this point home, branding is not just your colors and your logo and your fonts. It is creating a presence that is recognizable no matter where you are.
Yeah. And you even said like the vibe was off on your original branding. The vibe matters so much because like it goes beyond the colors, beyond the fonts, beyond the images that you put in your feed. It's the overall like tone.
It's this wall. Branding is this wall, right? Yeah. Like people now recognize this wall for Right Hand Glam. First of all, it's the exact brand color that we use, our blue. And 2, it's just this like chaotic mess of lines that make no sense. And now like this is something people recognize. Like if you are on stories and you see this background, you're going to know it's Right Hand Glam because this is the background that I always use.
The chaotic mess, as you called it.
I love it.
That's
Yeah,
life.
it's organized chaos.
It's beautiful. It's organic. And it can be whatever you want it to be. So yeah, I love your branding. Your branding is really on point. It really speaks to who, not just who you are, but as a company, the things that you do for your clients, myself included. And whew, so many good thoughts that I never know which one to. My brain just goes, as you know, my brain goes a mile a minute, and I'm like, which thing? Which is kind of why Chloe and I vibe so well, because she also goes a mile a minute, and then she plays catch up with her notes.
Yeah.
So 2 questions. The first one is, what's something that you wish you knew sooner about starting your business and your brand, and like where you were versus where you are now?
I think I wish I hadn't underestimated all of it, because I didn't know that any of this was going to happen. I didn't have a plan. Like I said, it was all just to make ends meet. And I had people talk behind my back and say, little business, blah, 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 blah. And it's grown into so much. And it's more than just a company that provides engagement services. I really do see us as cheerleaders for people. I see us as people who empower other people to step into their own vibe and their own brand and their own authenticity. And I think still too often, like, I'm really bad at taking compliments. So I'm always like, oh no, like, no. But I really wish I had done a better job earlier on of owning, like, yeah, we're the fucking shit. And we do some really amazing things for people beyond making them money. Like, making them money is like the bottom tier of the cake for me. Like, yeah, it's great. We make people money. Cool. But the emotional transformation that I see in people, the mental transformation, the transformation in their confidence.
Yes.
That's what matters the most to me.
Yeah. Money is secondary, although you have an amazing podcast that's called Yes, I Make Money, and everybody should go listen to it, because I am always creeping on it to like find out what the next thing is. And even Chloe on our calls is like, we know, Emma and I know that like you're probably one of like the client that's going to implement the thing that we're talking about. And she's like, I'm not even blowing smoke your way right now. Like, we know that like you're listening and you're going to try the things that we're talking about.
We know you can't bullshit a bullshitter, and we bullshit for a living. That is literally what people pay us to do. And so when we, create certain pieces of content or we record episodes, we know people in our community that are going to really resonate with it. I put out a post last week and I was like, oh, Casey is absolutely going to comment on this. And she did. And I was like, I was waiting for you to comment on this because I literally had you in mind when I was making this. And I think that also just speaks to the importance of community. Like, know your people and know what your people want from you, know what your people like to see from you, and very literally create content that is going to speak to people in your audience, whether those people are ideal clients or those people are the cheerleaders of your community. Like, create for them. Your content is not for you, it's for your audience. And by using your voice and by not being afraid to speak what's on your mind, you're going to touch so many people.
Yeah. And you never know who's listening, who like really wants to like work with you and is just afraid to speak up. You never know who is going through something that like really needed to hear whatever it was that you were sharing that day. So it's so important to speak directly to that one person, that like speak with somebody in mind, because I promise that person is watching, that person is hearing you, and you are making that difference in that person's life.
And I mean, you're living proof. You were watching and listening for 2 years.
Yeah.
Then you came to us, and now you're about to embark on your 3rd contract with us, which will put us at 9 months. And we're already talking about up to 12, which is bonkers. I mean, like, if you think about it, you went from flirting for 2 years, us building an authentic relationship. I mean, I think I knew in the back of my mind that, one day we would work together. I think we talked about that a bunch of times. But I didn't know when the time was going to be, and I wasn't going to push it because I knew you would be ready in your own time. And, it took Shell 2 years to convert, and now she's like, I'm not going anywhere ever.
We had that conversation last week. I was like, just because I'm just having this feeler right now, like I'm putting this out here for you.
I was like,
if you say no, that doesn't mean I'm walking away.
Yeah, I was like, are you renewing? Like, because if you are, we need to talk about this. And Shell was like, why are you even asking me that question? Like, yes, I'm renewing. And I was like, okay, great. And then she was like, also, like, we're going to be talking about 9 to 12 months. So, like, I know that in 3 months, I just need to check in with Shell about what package she wants. She's going to stay. I just need to be like, hey, you want to stay with this one or you want to go back to the one that you were on before? Like, yeah. And that's, I truly think the power of like waiting, because once people are truly ready, I have worked with way too many people who were not ready. Not way too many people. Actually, I take that back. I have worked with a handful of people. Sometimes I just say a little too much and I'm like, wait, no, you're over exaggerating. We've worked with a handful of people that were not ready. And I now say to people who are like on the fence about it, and it's mostly a money issue, I say, do not sign a contract with me until you are sure. Because I have had people micromanage us and get pissed off and constantly be asking about why they're not converting yet, or saying things like, well, I pay blah, 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 blah for this service. No. You know how much you pay for the service. You sign the contract. Do not sign the contract until you are ready, because it's not going to be good for either of us. It's going to cause both of us so much anxiety because you're going to be freaking out if like conversions aren't happening fast enough for you, whatever that means for you. And you're going to be so caught up in numbers that you're not going to enjoy the ride. And now we have someone like you who very much did wait until you were totally ready.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about coming up on a year of working together.
Yeah. What? And it wasn't your pricing is on point with what it is for a reason. Like, you give a lot of value. There's, like I said in the very beginning, there's no fluff. There's no BS. Like, you have it very strategically laid out. And I don't have to question what it is that I'm going to get every month because it's very transparent. Like, you communicate that so effectively. It was never a money issue for me to convert. It was a confidence issue. Honestly, like, it was
a lot.
It was am I targeting the right audience? Here's where I want to be. Here's where I think I want to be. Here's what I see, but like there's this gap in between, and does it make sense now? And I think one of the first things that I purchased from you 2.5 years ago was the hashtags, right?
Oh my
Like, one of your first services. And yes, that like it sometimes I need help with hashtags too. Like on LinkedIn, I know hashtags are not exactly the same on LinkedIn. But like people come to me and they're like, can you check the hashtag stats? Like, how do I do this? How do I know what hashtags to use? But it's not the same on Instagram. And so, yeah, sometimes I still ask you for help with that. And you got me.
And we're happy to help.
Like, where we started is not where we are now. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. And that's I'm so excited for more and more things to come from our work together. Hopefully we get to meet in person someday soon, because I know there's like we've been talking about it a little bit.
No. My schedule, and it also sounds like a crock of shit, but I'm always like, I am never around. Literally.
No, you literally like told me all the things, and I was like,
country, and then if I'm not out of the country, I'm at rehearsal, and I'm like, where does my day go? I don't even know.
She makes time for a lot of things that are important to her, folks. Like, she's got her priorities. These are the things that light her up. And yeah, we will find time and make it work when it works for both of us. I'm not forcing it. I'm not pushing it. It's going to happen though, because you're you and I love you. So we all know people can find you on Instagram. Again, don't message her on LinkedIn. She's not here. But we're spreading seeds in multiple areas, maybe in some someday way,
even
shape,
if you don't even, like if you're not like super active on Instagram, but you still want to talk, like that's the beauty of DMs. You don't have to post a single thing on Instagram and you can still talk to me. So come hang out. It's a great time.
And I know you've always got stuff going on in the works. So what can we look forward to and how can people find out more about it?
So this week we are launching our video engagement mini mind, which I'm so excited for. It's geared towards helping folks create video content that feels good and not forced and does not involve dancing and pointing unless you want it to. And you get support from not one, not two, but 3 Right Hand Glam team members. So we're gearing up for that launch on Wednesday, and it's meant to support you in growing leading up to Black Friday, through Black Friday, and then transitioning into the holidays, which is super exciting. We're bringing back the Engagement Academy, which is our program for social media managers and VAs who want to add engagement strategy to their product suite, or folks who are looking to transition into engagement. And then we are always booking for our engagement package. You can always ask Shell about it because she is one of our clients, to hear more about what it's like working with us one-on-one. And I'm truly always a DM away. If email is also your thing, righthandglam@gmail.com. Happy to chat with you there. So if you're looking for full service engagement for Instagram or TikTok, or you are looking to increase your video presence or do it in a way that's more aligned for you, or if you want to learn more about being an engagement strategist, we have all of that coming up in the next month.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's a lot that people can get from any of those things. And video is so important across all platforms right now. Like it is really taking off. Gives people a way to get to like, know, and trust you in multiple forms and meet people where they are, because some people are visual, some people are auditory, can never get those words right. And some people like need a mix of both. Depends what's your learning style, right? So this might just help you guys on LinkedIn as well if you're looking to up your video game and feel more confident doing it. So Emma's going to share the links with me. I will drop them into the chat and the comments as well. Thank you so much for being here, Emma. To everyone who's watched or catching us on the replay, let us know where you're tuning in from, because we love to chat with people. So let us get to know more about you. This has been an Operation Separation. We've been talking about branding your glow up in so many ways that can look like your low point to your high point and anywhere in between. Stay tuned for more Conversations for Change because you can see it. We love being here. We're here for it. Until next time, we're going to say bye for now.
See ya. Thank you so much, Shell.
Yeah.